E-wallet is a standard digital payment system where users must first deposit money into their account. In Malaysia, there are numerous companies providing e-wallet platforms such as Shopee Pay, Touch 'n Go e-wallet, Maybank QR Pay, and Grab Pay. The transaction facilitated by mobile apps will enable consumers to make everyday payment using e-wallet rather than physical cash. Customers may pay in various methods including scanning QR code, tapping and paying using the phone with NFC technology, and in certain situations using a real card like Touch 'n Go card. People that familiar with technology are more prepared to adopt e-wallet system. In Malaysia, youths who use e-wallet are seen as technologically sophisticated since they have grown up in the age of smartphone technology era. However, due to several factors, e-wallet may have various risks and security dangers. So this study conducted to define e-wallet usage and the factors that influence the desire to adopt e-wallet. As the study conducted, this research looked to investigate the perceived use of an e-wallet, focusing on perceived security, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and social influence.
Right now, I would like to explain about the problem statement. The first one is the inconvenience to go to ATM machines just to withdraw some cash. As we know, to withdraw some cash, we need to go to the bank and line up, which is it will require a lot of time. Next, there's a lot of crime cases happen when people withdraw a big amount of money from the bank. For example, there's a case at Kota Kinabalu where an old man was being robbed after withdrawing 100,000 ringgit from the bank. And from here, we can see that it is very dangerous if we choose to withdraw a big amount of money directly from the ATM machines. It is more safe and will save a lot of time if we just use the e-wallet systems. However, there is still some people who are doubtful in terms of safety and security of use despite the advantages of e-wallet system. With this research, it may give some awareness to the people out there regarding the beneficials when adopting the e-wallet applications. Next, for the research objective, it is to determine the most important factors that describe the adoptions of e-wallet among youth.
Next, the scope of the study is covered among youth who have been reached out through social media and social application. A convenient method of sampling was used to get as many respondents as possible for the sample. The range of age of the respondent is between 15 to 14 years old since this study is targeting Malaysian youth in Kuala Lumpur. However, this research was limited to the study of variables of interest only, which are perceived security, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and social influence when using an e-wallet. The result cannot represent all Malaysian youth, nor they can be generalized to apply to all young people in other countries as they were from an individualized standpoint.
Next, the research design of this study was a descriptive research design. This design was used to describe the most important variables that influence the adoption of e-wallet among youth. Next, we proceed with population and sample. The population of this study was Malaysian youths who stays in Kuala Lumpur, where youths are defined as those between the age of 15 to 40. This group was chosen because they were the most frequent users of the e-wallet service. For example, last year, the bazaar in Kampung Baru, Kuala Lumpur only accept e-wallet payment system. The Malaysian government was also aimed to provide e-belia to help young people via the e-wallet medium. It is because young people today were easy to adopt at using technology. So, this study has a sample size of 422 respondents.
Next, for the sampling method, the study used the non-probability sampling, which is the convenient sampling, where this research will approach people who are convenient and willing to be as the respondent. And for the sampling frame of this study is the list of name of Malaysian youth in Kuala Lumpur. For the data collection method, the study used the self-administered questionnaire. The questionnaire was distributed through social media like Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and also through the social application like WhatsApp and Telegram by sharing the Google Form link that contain the entire research questionnaire.
For research instrument, this study employed questionnaire as the research tool for data collection. The questionnaire consists of two parts, which are demographic profile and major component part. It has been developed using 7 Likert scales, with 1 signifying strongly disagree and 7 as strongly agree. There are overall 17 items in the questionnaire. This table shows the description of each variable used in the study for demographic part, which are gender, age, races, education, monthly income level, usage of e-wallet, and e-wallet use. And this table shows the description of each variable used in the study for major component part, which are experiencing in using e-wallet, frequency used for e-wallet per week, e-wallet adoption, perceived security, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and social influence. We proceed with data analysis. First of all, we use Cronbach alpha to determine if the scale is reliable. Second, we use KMO and Bartlett test to examine the strength of the partial correlation between variables. Lastly, we use factor analysis, which include correlation metric, principal component analysis, eigenvalues, commonalities, factor loading, script load, and factor rotation to determine the most important factor. Let me explain the result of analysis from SPSS. Studying from demographic profile, according to general information on e-wallet use among respondents, 85.07% of respondents are e-wallet users, while the balance of 14.93% of respondents are e-wallet non-users. The stacked bar chart shows that majority of e-wallet users are from undergraduate holders that currently pursuing an undergraduate program, which is 76.88%. For e-wallet non-users, majority of among them are also from undergraduate holder, which is 63.49%. In overall, the group of respondents with higher educational level are now e-wallet users, even there is a small number of non-users among them.
Next, a stacked bar chart shows the percentage of respondents experienced in using the e-wallet as grouped by gender. There are 70.9% of respondents are female, while the remaining 29.1% are male. The findings reported that male respondents using the e-wallet for more than a year are 50.4%, while just 7.3% indicated having no experience with the e-wallet. However, the percentage of female respondents who have never used an e-wallet is greater than male respondents with a difference of 6.1%.
Right now, I would like to explain about the frequency of e-wallet user. From this bar chart, it shows that most of the users use 1 to 4 times per week with 76.04%, and only 4.18%, which is the least among the users, use 9 to 12 times per week.
Here is the result of the overall description of the variable. The mean score for all variables are point towards 5.1 and above. Since the study used 7 decade scale, as 1 denoted as strongly disagree and 7 as strongly agree, this demonstrates that the respondents were generally agreed to all the research statements. Next, according to Kaiser criterion, the KMO values of 0.7 and above are acceptable to say that factor analysis is applicable for the research. So from this table, as you can see, the KMO score is 0.941, which is considered as excellent. Hence, factor analysis is appropriate for this data. For Bartlett test, the null hypothesis is tested, which state that the correlation matrix is an identity matrix. As you can see from the same table, Bartlett test of sphericity is significant since the p-value is less than 0.05. Therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected, which means that the correlation matrix is not the same as identity matrix. Also, all the construct item in this research has a reliability of 0.949, which is a strong positive value. Hence, it can be inferred that the questionnaire has a good level of internal consistency.
For correlation metric, this table shows some of the value in correlation metric are exceed 0.8, which means the correlation are too high and the multicollinearity may exist. For the verification from the determinant of correlation metric, which is less than 0.00001, this has confirmed that there is a multicollinearity exists for the data, indicating the items are highly correlated. They should be considering to eliminate one or two items causing the problem at this stage. A review on anti-image correlation metric will help to decide on which variable that is to be dropped, if any, due to the issue of multicollinearity. However, there is no reported value that is greater than the cut-off rule 0.5 for any pair of variable. All pairs shows a value between 0.893 and 0.979. Since that, there is still no clear idea on which variable should be dropped based on this output. So we try to explore from reliability measures for each item to see any indication of dropping variable. From this table, the column Cronbach alpha if item deleted give the Cronbach alpha value if each item is removed from the questionnaire. However, there are no significant changes of values if any of the variable is deleted from the instrument. Therefore, all items are retained.
Right now, I would like to explain about the factor abstractions. This table shows the value before abstractions, after abstractions, and after rotations. There are 16 linear components that determine from the dataset before abstractions. It shows that factor 1 describes 59.036% of total variance, and it is clear that the first few factors explain relatively large amounts of variance, especially factor 1. Next, after all factors with eigenvalue greater than 1 are being abstracted, it leaves only 3 factors, which is factor 1, factor 2, and factor 3. Next, factor 1 accounted significantly more variance than the other two before rotation, which is 59.036% compared to 10.844% and 8.259%. However, after abstractions, it only accounts 35.822% of variance compared to 22.096% and 20.220% respectively.
Next, this table shows the commonalities before and after abstraction. The abstraction values indicate the proportion of variance for each variable that can be explained by the written factors. 89.3% of the variance in item 2 can be explained, while 62.1% in item 8 can be explained by the written factors. The commonalities in this table are all high, which indicate that the abstracted components represent the variables well.
Right now, I would like to explain about the factor loading. This table shows the component metric before rotations. It contains the loading of each variable onto each factors. All the loading that is less than 0.4 are being suppressed. That is why many of the loadings are blank spaces.
Using the scree plot, it can see how the eigenvalues are related to each of the components. The graph can be used to determine how many eigenvalues are greater than 1 for the factors to retain. When the curve begins to flatten, that is when things start to become interesting. This curve is difficult to decipher since it flattens out after 3 variables. However, after 4 factors, it drops again until a steady level is attained. There is a noticeable flattening between factor 3 and factor 4. In short, only 3 factors have been maintained due to an eigenvalue greater than 1.
Right now, I would like to explain about the factor rotations. The varimax rotation was used for this analysis. The suppressed value was 0.4. Therefore, all the items that is lower than 0.4 were removed. The questions with high score on factor 1s, which are item 9, 10, 12, 11, 6, 7, 5, and 8, all appear to be perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. Therefore, the factor 1 was named as perceived convenience. Next, for factor 2, the item 4, 2, 3 and 1 are related to risk and trust of e-wallet user. Hence, the factor 2 was labeled as perceived security. And for factor 3, the item 13, 14, 16 and 15 are related to the e-wallet adoptions through social interactions. Therefore, the factor 3 was named as social influence.
In conclusion, e-wallet is an alternative payment method that has transformed the way we live with the advance of technology. Based on the analysis, perceived ease of use is the most significant factor compared to perceived security and social influence. From the result of factor analysis, there are 3 factors that describe the e-wallet adoption, which are perceived convenience, perceived security, and social influence. This research can be the guideline to e-wallet companies in providing a better service in the future. It is recommended for the future researcher to explore other variables in influencing the adoption of e-wallet that were not discussed in this study.